Lord, I'm so weak. I need your strength today. I'm so easily swayed by my fears. I'm at UC by myself. I seem to go in and out of being confident you want me here, and you'll use me to do something beyond myself. One thing I'm convinced of is this campus needs to know you and follow you, students all around me with no care or concept of their eternal lives, not to mention the pain ahead of them in this one. Give me, quote, success for you today. So, I just think of sitting there like there was nothing. There was no student group, there was no anything, there was nobody. And just sitting there thinking, this seems harder than I thought it was going to be. My name is Matt Hildebrand. I was the founding pastor of H2O Cincinnati, and very fortunate to be involved with a great group of men and women that had a desire and passion to reach a college campus. I love Cincinnati, born and raised here, and I didn't go to UC, but I always had a heart for UC, and I think it was neat to be able to dream about coming back here and doing something like that. And then when I stepped foot on the campus, and that first time we went out and just asked a bunch of people if they went to church, what were the local churches, and just sitting and talking with people, trying to gauge interest. Really, it was to start a Bible study, and that was the first step. If we could start a Bible study, then it felt like we would be able to gain some ground, because on a college campus, it was literally Bible study, and then student group was kind of the next goal. And then obviously beyond that, you wanted to eventually start a church. For me, I think the early days, it was a lot of praying. It was a lot of meeting with random people that probably looked at me like, what is this old guy doing? Is this a dad coming up asking me questions about God? This is weird. And then when Grant came down, we spent more time praying.
I was a student up at Bowling Green State University. I went there the fall of 2007, and around my sophomore year, I remember Bowling Green talking a lot about this idea of church planting. So we'd been preparing a team to go out and do that. We sent one team my sophomore year, left for Kent State University to start the H2O that's up there now. And at the same time, there was this other guy that I'd just gotten to know a little bit, not very well, whose name was Matt Hildebrand. And he was coming down to Cincinnati to plant a church. And that really was interesting to me, because I'm from Cincinnati originally. And so over my time as a student there, I kind of tried to be involved from a distance as much as I could. My first interaction with H2O Cincinnati would have been the spring break trip of my sophomore year, 2009. And at that point, H2O really was pretty much entirely non-existent. Matt was down here, he was spending time on campus, but there was no student group. There were really no students to speak of at all that were involved. Matt had been spending some time in prayer and knowing that God was trying to do something here, but we didn't really know what that was going to look like. So I remember also in the early years, that summer, of all the people we talked to, there was nobody that I recall coming to know Christ. There was nobody that was really interested in what it was that we were trying to do. And I remember even just sitting there wondering, like, man, is this going to work here? Is Cincinnati a place that is going to be able to support a campus church? But Matt kind of helped me in those times, and he was like, no, I really believe if God wants to do something here in the city of Cincinnati and wants college students, like, this is the biggest place where he's going to want to start. That coming school year was when God just started to bring in a couple really awesome freshmen that would end up being key leaders in getting this student group going and really starting the church.
I became a Christian around the time that H2O was still forming in 2010. I knew whenever I was coming back in the fall that I wanted to be involved in some kind of community, like a Christian community, because I had just gotten saved, and I was still kind of learning how to follow Jesus, and I knew that I needed other people around me that were going to help me grow and encourage me in that. And actually, I went to the first H2O Sunday service, or at least the first official one, in the cinema. Our church has changed a lot in that And I think student leaders are much more committed now than maybe they were then because of maybe the focus and the vision. And it rubs off on each other. And I think this was something that Matt always wanted to build whenever he was starting things up. He always talked about culture. You know, when you have a culture that is, you know, discipling each other and trying to reach lost people, it helps others to go and do the same.
What kind of culture are we creating here? You know, is this a place that people are learning? Is it just kind of the air that they breathe? Like, are they learning naturally just through the lives of others that they're around, the way they're spending time, that discipleship is important? Or just that everything in your life is worship, you know, that God calls us not just to love him on a Sunday morning or a Thursday night, but really this idea that he calls us to love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. So how do we worship him with every aspect of our lives?
I see how God is doing so much in our church right now and changing the culture of our church. And I feel like our church is gonna explode soon because of what he's doing, you know. I just see how God is really shifting how people think about mission and how people think about reaching the campus. And I mean, that excites me. I love what is happening at H2O right now. But even beyond that, man, like, I think that as our church grows and our staff team grows, like, I'm actually starting to believe that we could change the world. We're a disciple sending church. And if our church can continue to grow at the rate that it is and still be sending out disciples and really missionaries, people that are completely sold out for the mission of God, I think that we could see so many more lives changed than we even realize just from investing in UC's campus, both in the United States and abroad. You're reaching people that are making decisions that impact the rest of their life. I mean, the Lord has been so faithful to us. I mean, he's changed my life through this church, and he's changed so many more lives than just mine. So, I mean, who knows what we can look back on and see that God has done even 5 years from now, you know.
The biggest thing I've learned is that there's a great spiritual battle that goes on with leadership. I appreciate so much more the men and women that are able to continue to carry out, especially the work of the church. It's a very demanding profession because there's such a sacrifice in it. And for that church to be there now 10 years, and again, referring back to that journal entry where it was like non-existent, that is pretty amazing. And hopefully, if every leader was not there in 10 more years, that's there now, that little college church would still be pumping out disciples and still serving Christ. And that's the goal. That's the goal of the church. It's not the leader, it's the people.